Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast, episode number 32 for July 17, 2012. It's like sashimi, but you're watching Gamebreaker. All right, is it Friday yet? Is it Friday?
No.
No?
No.
Hopefully it's not, or you're probably too busy playing and not watching, so thank God it's not Friday. All right.
Correct.
Coming up today, we got Legendary Weapons and the City of Vor, and Colin Johansson thinks it's time to stop and smell the Sylvari. Not sure if it's a good smell or a bad smell, but all that and more, plus your viewer questions. But first, of course, he hasn't slept in 9 days, hasn't showered in 12.
I
Hello.
don't believe that.
Hello.
I had a shower 20 minutes ago. What are you talking about? I haven't slept.
Look, the sleep thing's right, but
Do you ever... Cheerio, chat.
Hello, cheerio.
governor.
Oh, don't throw in governor. No.
Gubna.
Going too far.
Oh, and it's Elizabeth Clare. Hello.
Hello.
I
have slept.
You have slept, and hopefully showered, and have chart
That
plushies.
too. Yes.
We see him poking there, strategically placed, just in the corner for the camera shot to be perfect. We know.
Yeah,
We see
he's
it.
my swag. It's cool.
Swag. Richie Procopio's got some swag. Look at it all. Blue Dumbo.
I do.
Rubik's Cube.
That is not Dumbo. That is Max Rebo. You take it back.
Blue Dumbo.
That's much better.
It is. It is.
You got any sushi back there?
Hello.
Kind of hungry.
I don't.
Damn. All right, it's almost the time for Attack of the Cabbage Gnomes. ArenaNet's gave us a detailed blog post of what new stuff we can expect in the third and final beta weekend. The Sylvari and the Asura are the highlights, of course. We're getting some brand new zones as well. The Brisbane Wildlands for level 17 to 20 players. You guys saw that? Did anybody else think that it seemed like it was like a really, it's like a really small sliver of leveling there? 17 to 20. It seems like a small bracket.
It seems like they're kind of building the zones to kind of overlap so that if you get bored of one zone, you can move on to another one. And this one, since it sounds like it would be kind of the first place where the Sylvari, Asura, and humans interact, they kind of want to give you a new place to go over and finish leveling to get onto the next area. But yeah, it is a kind of small window.
It's kind of hard to tell from, was that Rich?
As I say, I actually, I can't even puzzle this out. I actually made a spreadsheet and tried to figure out where the zones
Are you theory
were and what levels
crafting?
you were.
Are you?
No, well, I'm trying to analyze like what levels the zones are in and stuff like that, and I don't see where this fits because it seems like the Norn and the Char and the Human all have like a 15 to 25 area to go to, and it seems like the Sylvari and the Asura. This is going just based on what we have on like the wiki information. The Asura and Sylvari will have this zone, and it doesn't start till 17. So they have the 1 to 15 starting zone, and then the next zone doesn't start till 17. So what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to jump to the other areas? I don't know. It is kind of curious, that level range that they put out there.
You should maybe put forth your cartographer skills. You're gonna need a new lower third, Richie Procopio. Cartographer.
Explorer.
Do you have like maps on your wall and stuff? Like what's going on there? You like
I have no maps.
no maps? No.
Fresh out. It's with the sashimi.
Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Hey,
What?
I missed you last week.
I miss you too.
I missed you more.
It was weird.
You hang up. No, you hang up.
Right.
No, you say it first.
No, so it's a little hard to tell how many playable zones we're actually going to have at launch at this point. Are there actually any hard numbers?
25.
25 is the number. Where do we get that number from? I didn't.
I think it's actually from someone data mining the map, but yeah, 25 playable zones plus 6 cities.
Didn't say there was a con as well, I thought.
Did they? They might have. I feel like
think
25's been a
Dave's
number for a
panel.
while. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it at a panel. So, yeah, 25 is what they're saying they're going to be launching with the cities on top.
So the Brisbane, is it Brisbane or Brisbane? I think it's Brisbane. right?
Brisbane.
Brisbane.
I call it Brisbane,
Brisbane.
because then it's Australia.
Kind of like Brixton. Gonna go to Brisbane Academy.
Be a bit different, Brixton Academy to the Brisbane Wildlands, I would think.
saw-
Get a bit wild in Brixton, I have to say.
I saw Radiohead at Brixton Academy on the Benz tour. How awesome
I'm
is that?
very jealous of you.
When Tom York had his big poofy white hair.
Yeah.
Now I can name drop. And I was hanging out backstage with Johnny Greenwood. True story.
Mm. Look at you.
Brixton. All right, memories. All right. Was Brisbane a part of the original Guild Wars?
Not by that name, no.
Different name?
No.
Same
Well,
location?
since we don't know where it is precisely, we know that the area around Radisson and the Grove, or what would become the Grove, were explorable in Guild Wars 1, but we don't know what that all translates into in this map so much.
What about what is it's a deep in the jungle, the Skrit have built the city of Skritsburg. the city of Skritsburg.
That is the best name.
It's an awesome city name, yes.
It really is. The city of Skritsburg. But who are the Skrits? Do we know much about them?
It's a huge Mickey take of people from Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
They're basically saying that the entire city's full of rats, and I think that's out of order because Pittsburgh's got a lovely place. No, Skrit are basically like a rat race, and they're quite funky because they're basically the Azura's sort of nemesis in a way. Elizabeth and Richie slap me when I'm wrong.
Elizabeth just very disappointingly sighed at you. So
No, it's they're kind of all over the map, so we've already seen them in a couple of the human areas, and I think maybe the Norn area, but I could be way, way wrong about that. So they're around, kind of causing trouble, and so what they are is they're a minor race. They have some sentience, but they get smarter the more of them are in a place, kind of, so they speak really, really quickly, and so a single Skrit on his own is very dumb, but when you get a lot of them together, they can all exchange ideas very rapidly and kind of sort through them and come out with the right one, which is like the internet, only in a microcosm.
I was going to say it was kind of like this show.
They'll just shout at each other and
Yeah,
say that I like this. That means you're wrong. That's what I call.
That's what they do.
So they're all connected telepathically, and they can.
No,
Well,
they just speak very
Speak,
quickly.
You know,
Speak very quickly.
And the more people,
what-
and the more Skrit that are around, they just speak faster.
No, they just exchange ideas more rapidly because there are more of them to think up ideas and say, no, that one's really dumb. How about this idea? No, that one's also really dumb. How about this idea? That's a little better. How about this one? And on and on and on. At about that speed.
they're hive mind. So basically, you get one on their own, and they're like dumb as a brick, and then you get like a few hundred together, and then they're a bit more of a problem to
Yes.
be around.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's quite funky, interesting sort of race to interact with, and we're supposed to be able to interact with them and do stuff around Skritsburg.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the Asura have kind of figured out that because they reproduce so quickly, that they are actually a big threat to all of the races, because if they actually multiplied and got in one place and they were able to share all those ideas and become super, super smart, they can actually, be a problem. So the Asura try to eradicate them, and like Scott said, it's kind of like their nemesis. They're both from way underground. They both were forced up at the same time when the Elder Dragons rose and awoke. So they're an interesting race.
Is there any chance that the Skrit from Skritsburg could possibly be like? Is there any possibility that they would be a playable race in the future, an expansion or anything like that? Kind of like we speculated with the Kodan.
It'd be fun if they were, because basically you'd be playing an idiot.
You're like, you're extraordinarily dumb about
just
your
going,
party.
oh look, shiny stuff. I like that. And then when you go in a group, suddenly
Yeah.
you'd be buffed. You get great group buffs. But when you're playing solo, you basically be an idiot, like bumping into stuff like all day.
I like that. Like, your screen actually blurs when you're on your own, and you get like insight bonuses the more people are in your group or area.
Or you're a Skrit Elementalist and you get like spell failure unless you have friends around.
Yeah, you've got a critical failure chance. Just launch it yourself.
That'd be cool.
I can't wait. If I just want to name my Skrit Skrillex. That'd be my name.
I could see that.
That'd be my name. Yeah, it's got Skrit.
I do. I see what you did there. You took Skrit and then added Skrillet.
You took Skrit.
They'd be great in a rave though, together, like hundreds of them just banging around at the same time.
It'd be cute.
So that would work.
Watch out, Elixmith. I'll pull out dubstep Elix.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
And we're also getting to see some of the first of what hopefully will be many mini games. We're getting Keg Brawl. Rugby with a keg of ale on an icy lake.
Brilliant.
Sounds like a perfect time to me.
Yeah. I love the macho known pastime of chucking kegs at each other.
Yep.
That's what you want. Yeah. Sounds like a great time. It sounds like basically my weekends growing up. So fantastic.
We missed your thoughts on mini games last week. We got to see in the Asura starting area some of the what was it called, the Golem. What was the actual name of the
RC Golem?
Yes,
that was it.
Yeah. With the 9 grid and the exploding and the power-ups and all the fun.
And
yeah.
now kegs on an
I hope
icy
they've got
lake.
1,000. Are they? Because they're not instances, is it? So I hope they've got 1,000 tables because it's going to be people
right.
clambering over each other. My turn. Move. No. So yeah, it looks great. It looks a lot of fun. I mean, it's PVE pastimes. There are just lots of different levels of things you can do to run around with. So cool content. We like that.
We like that. We'd like to see more and more of it. That's actually a good question, though. Did we talk about that? The fact that like they're non-instance and they're in the open world, and we only really saw one table there that you can play on. Like, what's going to happen? I mean, there's going to be I think a lot of people are going to want to play this. You're just going to have to sit and wait your turn and kind of get in queue.
Mr. Pandaria queues running down around the back, and you'll have we'll have Darnell at the back of it waiting. Like,
yeah, it's interesting if instead of having people queuing for a boss, they're instead queuing to like sit down and make little golems punch each other.
That's like the first thing Scott's gonna do when he gets in the game. He's like, I'm gonna punch a golem.
Yeah. Come on, I'll have you. Sit down. Whack.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you had like a ping pong style rules where like the winner stays and the other people swap out.
Or you put your quarter up.
Yeah, quarter up.
On the lip of the arcade
Something
machine.
to just show that you're there.
Next.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. There might be a whole, you might not have any server queues, but you might have keg queues.
Keg Brawl, it would be cool if you could get like a lot of people to join and they're on different sides, and you just have like your whole guild going at it and chucking kegs of ale at each other and like punching each other and kicking each other. It'd be super fun. Like you could totally see that being a thing.
It is like Scott's weekends.
Yeah. There's a village in England that basically does that, except it's a football and they set it on fire. And it's just the entire village kicks lumps out of each other to kick it around. There's no goals or anything. Just kick each other in the ball. There you go.
Kick a flaming ball around.
Sounds safe.
The shit. Headers really hurt.
All right, really quick, I want to tell you guys we got a new show coming to Gamebreaker TV called BuildCast. It is going to be a theory crafting, all PvP show right here on Gamebreaker TV, focusing on Guild Wars 2. That'll be starting up next week, and this show and BuildCast are actually going to be moving to Wednesdays. So next Wednesday, GuildCast, this show right here, is moving to Wednesday. From 6 to 7, same time, and then from 8 to 9 will be BuildCast. So a little bit of a break, and then we'll do BuildCast with Matt Sorg, Karina, and Ed, all from Gamebreaker TV as well. If you guys have footage, so we're gonna try something. If you guys want to send us footage, we're gonna be looking for PvP matches. So if you guys want to send them in. What we'd like you to do is kind of give us maybe at least a little bit of footage at the top of it, maybe like 10-15 seconds of your build, of your your deck and your build, and then give us the entire PvP match from start to finish in high quality HD posted up on YouTube, and you can send us the link to submit at Gamebreaker TV, and we may possibly take your footage and incorporate it into this show and dissect it. And you will have 3 theory crafting PvPers discussing how poor you are. No, seriously, or how amazing you are. So, if you guys want to be a part of GuildCast, fire up the old fraps this coming weekend and start recording all of your PvP matches and sending them in. Submit at Gamebreaker TV. Also coming up a little bit later in the show, I know you guys are all waiting for that Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition that we're giving away on Gamebreaker TV, and you want that code. You know what I'm talking about. You're looking for a code to get a few more points on our giveaway. Yes. Coming up later on in the show. All right, so next up, ArenaNet gave us an example of one of the vistas that we're going to get to check out. We talked about these last week. Check this out. All right, it's pretty. I don't know.
It's pretty.
It's pretty.
It's pretty.
Let me try. Hang on. Let me make it a little better. Let's watch this. For some reason, it didn't make it better. Dubstep did not make that vista
Did not
better
make
at
that
all.
any better.
It didn't.
whatsoever.
It made it.
It
finally-
might have made it worse.
It's the first time.
Made it
That
so
is the
much
Prove the theory
worse.
wrong.
That is the first time dubstep has made something worse. They're onto something here. These ArenaNet. Don't know how that happened. How did that backfire on me? I thought for sure that was a winner. All right. All right. So we don't know much about it. I mean, it's pretty. I don't know. I thought would have a little sweeping epic music, not dubstep, but
I
can't wait
think
to.
if they're going, if they're going with sweeping epic music, then it would have felt just like a cutscene. I think. So they've gone with none of that to make it feel like it's part of you being there and you're seeing what's around you and you're still part of that world as it's going on. If you'd had a bit of music and it'd have just been, it's a cutscene. And I think they don't want that kind of feel to it.
I'm a huge fan of this.
You're there.
I'm so glad that somebody's actually done this finally, because I'm like the total explorer type. That's the kind of gameplay I do this. I try and find these like crazy little odd areas to go and check out things, and I get totally sidetracked, see something off in the distance, and I'm like, I want to go up there, and I just spend 2 hours doing that instead of doing anything else, which is why I'm always like 50 levels behind all of my friends. But I'm a fan of this because now I feel like I'm gonna go find those places and actually be rewarded, with something just cool little, even if it's just a little camera move. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. As someone who's big on screenshots, I'm excited about the idea of getting shots where you don't actually have to be standing anywhere to get them, that are kind of unique to that. So, yay, pretty. Ooh, pretty.
Probably be some of the first stuff that hits the internets and the YouTubes are all those vistas. Every vista imaginable, databased. Shazam's on that right now. All right, so also we're getting a new PvP map, Legacy of the Faux Fire. So it's got the 3 capture point core mechanic. I think we all expected that, but something that I don't think any of us really expected was it's going to have NPC guards and powerful guild lords to try and kill. So what do you guys think about bringing this PvE elements into the P versus P? What do you think of that, Richie?
Griefing. It's just a guild person's griefing dream, isn't it? You can get in when somebody's trying to kill a boss and just go, wait, he's nearly dead, isn't it? Now kill him, and then just jump in there and then take it down the end. Sounds great. Lots of fun.
Yeah, we know that each of the PvP maps is going to have secondary objectives that try to change up the flavor, so it's not just feeling like a conquest map. And these guards and guild lords are the mechanic for these maps. The Forest of Niflheim they have those two monsters, those two bosses that kind of get summoned, and you kind of take them out, and that scores extra points for your team. So yeah, taking these guards and guild lords out is a way for you to try to get more points for your team. I think it's fun, and it mixes things up a bit.
I know one other thing. I know original Guild Wars fans are really excited about this particular map, and there seems to be... Why is that, Eliz?
Because it's like Guild versus Guild, where you had a Guild Lord to kill. So this is the one that's going to be nostalgic for Guild Wars 1 fans. Eric Flannum hinted at that a long time ago, I think at the European Fan Day. And they've said that the map layout itself is going to be very similar to Guild Wars type maps, and so it'll be nostalgic to look at, and it's got mechanics that people will be more or less used to from the original Guild Wars. So it's our little bit of nostalgia and PvP.
They also said this on top of it. So they also said that they're adding NPC guards at certain points in Dub v Dubs for solo players to kill. Which again, I think this seems awesome to me, because Dub v Dubs, it definitely felt like there was a little bit lacking for, like, this makes it a little bit more accessible, I think, for PvE players and just people who are in there without a group. Good idea there, Scott.
I think what it does, it gives you a curve for interaction with WVW that goes from one player now all the way up to hordes of crazy people running across hills and setting fire to people and pushing them off cliffs, which I know is my favourite thing to do. But yeah, what it does, it basically means it makes WVW now is accessible for anybody at any group size. So go in, have fun, and there's going to be something that you can do in there. Anybody.
You guys think that people, like, I mean, I was doing on the last beta weekend event, I was playing a lot solo without a group, but like when I went to WV Dubs, I just found a group. Like, don't you think it's like the more exciting thing is just like you just look on the map, find where the skirmish is, and like just go to the fight, and just, you don't really have to be in the group, but you're there, you're fighting. I mean, do you think I don't know, do you think there's going to be like I'm assuming there's going to be core objectives and bonuses and buffs and things like that associated with these things that players are really going to have to, pay attention to them and not just kind of overlook.
Yeah, it gives you something to do while you're trying to catch up to that group, If you just come upon a sentry standing there, okay, maybe I'll take this out while I'm here, and this will give me some points, or, whatever, however they structure the reward system for it. But yeah, because a lot of times, even if you are trying to get to that group, or if you die while you're in a big group and you're like way back at, your spawn point, and you have to run there, it's just, it's something you can do by yourself. You're not totally useless in the zone unless you find your mass mob of people. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Liz, what do you think about that? That's a good point that we're talking about, that the travel. We never really even talked about that in Dub v Dubs, is that, when your points are kind of overtaken and you don't really have any other spawn points that are close, sometimes the trek is really quite long. You think it's just something we have to deal with, or you think that they're putting any kind of faster travel, like items or potions or anything in there?
Once a guild controls a keep, they can upgrade it with a waypoint. So if you are in control of a certain area on the map and you're like, this would be a really strategically awesome point to have a waypoint because it's right next to this other keep we want to assault, you can put one up there and kind of upgrade that, so players are kind of in control of how convenient it is to get around a map, because that rewards doing well to begin with. But they've said that it was kind of a design decision to make sure that people, like, there's a consequence to dying as far as being able to contribute to a battle goes, and really emphasizing the breadth of the world of the maps.
It's interesting. It just keeps saying, they just keep adding more and more little tidbits into the Dub v Dub stuff. It sounds like good stuff. Finally, don't forget, everybody, just a little friendly reminder that before this weekend, ArenaNet's will be deleting all existing beta information. I guess I would say immediately before and after. So, right. I guess what that says, that now we obviously know that for confirmation, is that Sylvari and Asura zones are going to be flooded come Friday and servers go open. So
yes.
You wanted your stress test? You've got a stress test.
You have indeed.
We're gonna have a bit of a test for launch day, aren't we now?
This is very good. They need to stress it and really see what it's going to be like on launch day like that, and also make sure you update your client before Friday, because there's a huge file to download. So make sure you do that, not at the last minute.
Yeah, it was a few gig, wasn't it?
It was over 2 gigs.
1.4 gigs.
Or was
Yeah.
it 1.4? Okay.
Liz, you had
Stand
something?
corrected.
Nope.
No.
Being spared of that wipe is your contact list, so even though guild, server selection, characters, items, all that are going to be wiped, you will still have your friends list, so you can still talk to all the best friends you made during the last couple weekends. Yay!
Yeah, guys, there's been a few questions. Go to the Gamebreaker forums about guilds for this weekend. I don't know, guilds seem to come up, I don't know why.
So should we assume that there is not going to be a Gamebreaker guild for the last
No.
beta weekend?
No, sorry, we're going to actually
Dude,
play the game.
You're such a slacker. Look at you slacking.
So selfish.
Don't you want to
gonna
sit and
go
just
play the
answer?
game.
Don't you want to just answer, emails and tells in the game? You don't have to play. Just
Hello?
stand in Divinity's
Hello?
reach and answer questions. And add people.
Hello,
Try to turn it off.
This is Gamebreaker customer service. If you just look to the right-hand side of your guild pane and hit represent, you'll find that you're actually in the guild. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Yeah, that's pretty much what I won't be doing this weekend.
Okay, so no, there it is. Announcement: no Gamebreaker guild for the final beta weekend event.
Go to the forums. We've got some great guys who've been in the Gamebreaker community for a long time who are putting together some stuff. There's ideas. There's a couple of threads. Please keep your guild stuff in those threads. Don't spam the forums with guild stuff. There's a couple of threads. Keep your questions and everything in there, and all your questions will be answered.
Like magic.
All of them? Wow.
All of them.
Yes.
All of them.
This is really interesting. So ArenaNet is also going to be testing the gem store, full on for real. Like they're actually going to take money from you. But the cool thing is, any of the gems that you buy this weekend will be automatically put into your account for launch. You think this is going to sketch some people out because it's beta? I mean, they have to test out the system. I mean, they've got to put it through its the ringer a little bit and actually get it to make sure everything is working. I don't know. I think some people kind of question it as about possibly being a little odd that in beta they would be.
It's essentially pre-ordering gems. I mean, you're putting down money for it now, and even though, yeah, you can mess around with them this weekend, you're essentially just pre-ordering them. It's no different, effectively, than if they just had a site up and they said, okay, well, you can't use it during the beta weekend, but pre-order your gems here, so they'll be waiting for you at launch. And so that's just giving people who know that they're going to play the game and know that they're going to want to buy gems an opportunity to just kind of not think about that during head start and launch.
Do you already have all your items picked out? I could just be. I would just imagine that you have like a little
Yeah,
list.
I've got a little shopping list.
Yes,
I'm like, I'm going to buy 5 of those and 3 Golem packs. No, I don't. I have a feeling I'll be messing around with that a little bit this weekend.
I'm totally gonna buy crap. I know it. I'm not a big microtransaction person. Like I really don't spend much money as micros go, and I just already know that I'm going to. I don't know.
Yep, it's going to happen.
Smurfly. And this isn't that odd when you think of games like Smite, right? Smite, you can actually buy into the cash shop to actually get beta access, and any money that you spend in there on microtransactions during the beta, anything you unlock during the beta is actually going to be credited to your account when the game officially launches. So more games are actually doing this. It's not that odd, and I don't have any problem with it at all.
And I guess the other thing that since they're doing this, I guess it's safe to say that all the prices that we see in the gem store are going to be pretty much accurate at, I would guess, right? I mean,
Well,
It might be that they're getting more accurate testing now, that people are actually putting money on it, even though the gems this weekend don't really count because you know that you're going to get them exchanged back to normal gems afterwards. But seeing what people, when they're actually putting money down for gems, what they'll get, as opposed to saying, here's 2 to 10,000 free gems or whatever it was for the rare people in the last weekend, and just having people go nuts. Because I know that I bought stuff last time that I wouldn't probably have bought if I was putting down money for, like aviators. No. So it might be that stuff gets adjusted afterwards just because they're seeing what people are actually willing to pay for stuff.
I guess the reason I bring it up is thinking of it from, I don't know, hear me out. How would the player feel if, you put in your credit card this weekend, you buy some gems, you see something you're going to buy, let's say it's the aviators, let's say it's 10 gems. I don't know, I have no idea how many it was. And you're like, oh, I wanted to buy the aviators, and I bought my 10 gems. And then game launches and they're 30 gems. Like, would you feel, I think, even though it doesn't really make a difference, like you bought 10, you had 10, I think if all of a sudden they bumped them up and said that they were 30, I think you'd feel like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. I bought 10 gems in beta, and I wanted those aviators, and I was looking forward to picking those up today with my gems.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with Elizabeth that they can and they might make some adjustments after they see what players do. But yeah, it's probably not a good idea because people are going to be spending money based on prices that they see now and what they want to get now. Yeah, I think that might go over pretty poorly if they start changing it too much. Do you think if they want to lower the prices, that's fine.
Oh yeah,
Go for that,
if there's a sale, then we're all good with that when it's cheaper. But do you guys think that that's actually, being that a point? Do you think that we'll actually see a limited number of items available in the shop?
No. Limited? You mean at launch?
I stumped everybody. It's like I just asked, like, the keys to the universe. Like, what is the meaning of life, Scott?
Quantum mechanics.
String theory. No. Oh my God, Gannon, you're insane.
That's easy, but whether we're going to have die packs like unlimited, who knows? You mean like at launch, like limit the amount so they can?
I'm saying not.
I think he means not put everything on sale during the weekend.
I'm saying they're not going to put every item that will be available in the shop when they launch into the store for the beta weekend. Not that there's a limited number of a specific item, just that the number, like the
they aren't putting out their whole inventory.
Yes, exactly.
It's feasible if maybe if they wanted to do a focus on certain ones to see how they go. Like if they wanted to really look at certain categories and see how they go before broadening it out and do like a real sort of like analysis of that first. But that would be about
it's kind of like how consciousness can affect a particle, and we've kind of proven that it can affect it in another place. So if the particle is not actually being observed, it can act one way, and then once it's being observed,
What was it again? Observe particle. Yeah, 3 die packs and a mini, please. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's do the time you guys have all been waiting for. So if you guys haven't been over to Gamebreaker TV all week, on Monday we launched a contest. We are giving away one Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition. Go over to the homepage, there's a banner right here. You click on it, it's going to take you to a nice little page, and you can enter. And you can actually go back each and every day to do a couple different things to increase your chances. 40,000 entries already. Love you, community. Remember yesterday I was in my dining room doing this show. And we have 40,000 entries. It's a great world. All right, anyway. So basically one of the entries here is watch GuildCast and enter the code. So you've all been waiting for the code. And I guess the code should be how about green? I just made that up. Green. Green will be the code because that's our colors. That's the Gamebreaker color. Green. Could be anything you want. So green is the code. It's kind of like our ARG. So go over there, Gamebreaker. It's gamebreaker.tv/giveaway to enter. You can enter every day. Go back to increase your chances to win. We'll be giving away one of those bad boys, and the code is green.
Was that 3 Ys on the giveaway page?
It was actually 4.
Okay. Make sure you spell it right, everybody.
All right.
It's the giveaway.
But it looks gorgeous.
Yes, it does. Hats off to your web designer.
Hats off to Tom, who's a superstar.
Applause for Tom.
You're the best around. You're the best around.
Someone have disapproving Ruby to pull out, like right there. We needed that.
I don't.
She needed to cast her Q on you, her disappointment.
One does not just summon Ruby disappoint. Ruby only enters when she pleases. All right, so next up, ArenaNet had a live Q&A live stream that actually had some really exciting info. Big news that we got out of it is definitely, I think everyone agrees, was the legendary weapons. I know there's some other stuff in there that's very exciting, but legendary weapons coming to Guild Wars 2 And so basically, Scott, you and I, man, we're gonna grab like 40 buddies and head off to Molten Core, right?
Yeah, we're going to go in and we're going to spend like a month killing it. And then we're going to spend 6 weeks arguing over which one of us gets to actually have it. And, oh no, we're not doing that garbage, are we?
We're
That's
not.
good.
What do you mean, chap?
No. I mean, you can do it on your own. You can go and do your legendary, and it's not going to mean that somebody has to have it to be able to do an instant, and it'll make all the difference on your DPS race to drop the first boss, which is what legendaries are in certain other games that shall remain nameless. Wow. And so what it means is you're going to go out. It's going to be a real pain in the backside to do. It's going to be incredibly, wonderfully challenging to do, whichever way you want to look at it. It's going to take you a long time. You're going to get something. You're going to choose to have which weapon you're going to have, because of course you don't just have one kind of weapon with your different profession. And they sound awesome, and it's going to look great, but it's not going to be a statistical advantage over the exotic stuff.
This is crazy talk.
It's the right way of doing it.
Richie.
I've actually heard some people be like, no, it should be differentiated in PvP. We should have a statistical bonus. No, thank you. Because then, if you want to get into the end level, someone's going to be like, you have to be displaying your Night Sky Greatsword. And I'll be like, I don't want to because I'm a hammer warrior. I'm sorry. So yeah, well done. Yeah.
You need to have the bow that shoots rainbows, Richie. You actually have
pretty awesome.
You actually have a great piece coming out tomorrow on Gamebreaker, kind of about some of this stuff in general. So it is pretty interesting how they're doing legendaries, quite different from most of the other games that we have seen. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Go ahead. I was gonna say it's kind of like Scott said. You put this Herculean effort into getting it, and you've got the prestige of how great it looks, but it doesn't come with all that baggage of legendary power. And legendary power. And
with great power comes great responsibility.
Great responsibility. That's true. We've heard Josh talk about this on Legendary, and I was a guild master in World of Warcraft, and every time Legendaries came up, it was such a hassle to kind of manage, because a lot of the stuff that Scott said, there's infighting, there's people that get jealous, there's going back and doing old content just because somebody, is halfway through the quest. There's a whole bunch of rigmarole, and yes, I use that word, where you have to go through when Legendaries are involved in that way. But this definitely sounds like they're hitting the nail on the head, and they're going to look so awesome. They described a few of them: the rainbow bow, the rain bow,
my little short bow,
my little short bow,
my little short bow, apocalypse short bow.
I like the juggernaut, the hammer that makes your armor look liquid
you
metal.
Look like the Terminator.
And you actually leave little liquid metal footprints as you walk. That just sounds amazing to me.
How hard do you, Elizabeth? How hard do you think that these, I know it's hard to kind of put a gauge on how difficult these are going to be, but I think they're kind of stressing that they're going to be really difficult and they're solo. But I mean.
Well, they haven't really said solo. They've said that you can't buy them from other players, but all we really know is that they require multiple components from different parts of the game that will be a pain in the butt to get, and that it'll be super awesome. So I'm expecting them to be pretty dang challenging. I don't know what level of impossible to really easy, but super, super challenging.
And I mean, it's probably
as they should be.
It's probably a given that we're probably going to be going down into some dungeons for these and maybe doing some dynamic events, things like that. But the great news out of this whole thing is that you won't have to commit to a rating schedule, to get all these. And you can kind of do them on your own time. I think that for me is the biggest draw.
It's a huge. I mean, when this news came out, I was so happy. I'll go back to, as you know I will, because you do. I'll go back to EverQuest, right? And I had the Soulfire Legend, epic, and it wasn't that great, really, statistically or anything. But it looks great, and people know the effort you put in to get that. Mm-hmm. And that's where the prestige comes from. The look of everything is a great bonus, and it's awesome that it's going to be a weapon that you're going to be like, oh, that looks so cool. But the fact that people walk up and go, I know that person really did a lot to get that, and that's an achievement. That's where the prestige should come from with a legendary. And people are saying, well, it's going to be another grind fest. We don't know that. It could be. It's just going to be a huge, like, multi-environment quest chain, perhaps. It's not necessarily you're going to have to repeat the same thing over and over again. We don't know yet. But as I say, as soon as that came up, I was just so happy because I was dreading the idea of the legendaries in WoW. I mean, even they might be moving away from it, but I can't stand legendaries in WoW.
And Richie, your article that's coming out tomorrow also touches on this. Like, what do you think? Like, there are players out there who kind of would look at this and sort of say, well, what is there? You know, I know Guild Wars 2 we don't like to use the term end game here, but you know, what's really the draw then? You know, certain players might be wondering, maybe they're new to Guild Wars 2 and they are coming from like World of Warcraft, where they're used to getting this legendary item and it's got stat bonuses that have, you know, besides looking cool, it also hits a whole lot harder. And with these legendaries, they're not. They're just going to look cooler. Do you think that that's going to be enough for a lot of their players to kind of adapt to and get into that mindset?
Well, that answer will be different from person to person. I mean, the incentive is a subjective thing. It kind of really depends on, you know, what you got to ask yourself. Is it really, what's my draw for doing this? Is it because it gives me +5 to strength over everything else in the game? Is that my incentive for doing it? Or is it because I want the prestige, I want the title or the achievement that goes with it, or I want it to look really cool and have people go, whoa, where did you get that from? So what is it really that you know, what's the base incentive you know, that drives you as a gamer? And that answer will be different. So if you really want to see your little floaty number above your head do, you know, more damage every time you pick up a piece of gear, then, you know, this might not be the best thing for you. But I think the majority of the players, you know, want the prestige. They want the weapon to look cool, and they want to tackle challenging content. So, yeah, we'll see how it all pans out.
Now, if you guys got excited by that, especially you, Scott, if you got excited by that, what about this? I mean, how about there's going to be 2 great sword legendaries in the game.
Oh, yes.
One representing day and the other representing night, and you're actually going to be able to combine them into kind of some shifting sky sword.
Yes, please.
What do we call this? This needs like a new title. This needs like a Beyond Legend, epic, legendary,
legendariest,
super extra awesome, cool.
I mean, I don't know whether it's night and day most of the time anyway, so having a day sword that'll tell me it'd be great. So, you know, it looks, it just sounds great. I'm really looking forward to it. That'll be the one I think I'll go after. The hammer sounds fantastic, but I think the sword's going to be the one I'm going to go after.
Heck yeah. I think going back to the topic of whether or not, you know, visual appeal is enough for most people, Guild Wars, the original, was kind of a good proving ground for that, because there was an extraordinarily low weapon cap for damage. I mean, you had weapons that could do 15 to 22 damage, and they were maxed. And you can get those like halfway through the game from a quest. But there were items that were hugely like selling for a lot of money and like became their own currency of an extra currency because they were so rare and so visually appealing. You know, you had people who were making up runs to go through a dungeon to get this one staff that looks like it's a dragon with a rib cage, or making up runs to go through this one dungeon to get the spear that was really big and had like a glowy animation, or making up runs to go through a dungeon for this, or making up runs to go through a dungeon for that. So even without the statistical advantage, Guild Wars 1's fans have, to a large extent, already shown that they are totally willing to go after stuff just for the shiny.
And lately, I mean, we've really seen it even in other games, right? And know that it exists outside of just the Guild Wars community in games like League of Legends, of just buying skins and, you know, if it looks cool and it's got some animation, people are willing to spend a few bucks on it. So we also learned about the city of Or, or should I say it's the city of Or. That was 2 R's, Liz, if you're wondering. But it's, I guess it's kind of, dare I say, an endgame zone full of undead and dynamic events.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that this is a fairly large key part of the lore behind Guild Wars?
Yes. Kind of. Well, behind Guild Wars 2 more, because so basically, Or used to be like the city of the gods. It's where they lived and were cool and awesome and temples and stuff. And then there was a cataclysm, and the city wasn't there anymore, and there was a big thing of water. And then there was a reverse cataclysm when Zaitan came up, and it was all there again. And now it is the home of the writhing undead hordes. Doesn't that sound fun?
Oh, that sounds like a lovely place.
Yeah, go there for spring break.
Yes. So that's why you got all the like mini temples and large temples to the gods that we're going to have to go and take over, and you have to like hopefully if you've got control of it, like that god will give you things because you control the temples, and if not, Zaitan's going to be kicking your backside all over it. So it's great fun.
And the way it sounded from the live stream, it sounded like you're going to try to capture the entire city back, right? I mean, that's kind of what it sounded like. That you'll be assaulting like beachheads and bridges, capturing areas of the city, trying to move throughout the city. It almost sounds like kind of like a PvE dub v dub, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like this massive area, this huge area that the players don't have a foothold on at all. And you have to pick a path, pick a way to actually get a little foothold of this area, this map. And you can do it by sea, you can do it on ground, going over bridges, all these different things. And once you get into it, like Scott was saying, there's all these corrupted temples that are completely overrun. And if you don't take those back over to the good guy side, and then there's all these bad environmental effects that will happen to you as you get further and further into this zone. And then the big prize at the end is if you actually clear your way and clear all the monsters out and everyone's working together, the final dungeon of the game is actually accessible in here. So it just sounds like this constant back and forth. They said that there's double the dynamic events on these maps than in the other zones.
Double?
Double!
Yeah.
Double!
Well,
Double
having
dynamic!
hearts.
Yeah, no.
Because
It
all the
doesn't
NPCs are dead.
Oh,
Like,
right,
it's just
that's
too
right.
hostile.
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't have someone sitting out there tending his farm because it's ore.
Right, there's no hearts, anything like that. And like you said, obviously we're probably gonna hit some big bosses in there, and I'm sure there's gonna be a big bad ending to this whole entire thing. Everybody's assuming it's gonna be really big. I mean, some of the biggest stuff we've seen, I think that we were all kind of thrown back by the sense of scale in all the major cities, like Lion's Arch, Divinity's Reach. Do you guys think it's gonna be like that big? Is that what you're thinking? Larger, smaller? What do you think?
To fit Zaitan in it, it's going to be a bit bigger. Just a bit bigger.
Huge.
So, like, it's Ara, isn't it, the city? Because, I'm learning. I'm learning my law.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Ara's the city.
You're doing very good. Very, very good, Scott.
Thank you. I'm trying ever so hard. Ara's the city, and also, like you said, we get there by land and sea. Are we going to go there by air? Is that the airship that we saw in that video? We're going to get some airship action landing. Like, the idea, you've got this fantasy band of brothers going on, sort of just to get there, and then that's just getting there, and then you've got to go and basically invade places. And is this the guild necessitator?
Yes.
Finally. This is what I've been crossing my fingers for, because so far we haven't seen anything that would make guilds really necessary in PvE. I mean, there's a lot of great things about guilds, a lot of things that I don't like, but there's a lot of great things about guilds in all the different things that can be, but for getting guilds to organise at end level, this looks like this is going to be it, which is hopefully fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Sounds amazing.
I
It's
can't
pretty
wait
cool,
for
yeah.
this.
It does look great.
It does look great.
One thing I was going to say that I was a little bit concerned about is, let's say 6 months after the game launches, right? People have gotten to 80, they've done ore, and they're very they've done it many times, and they've played it out, and they've accessed that last dungeon a lot. Is it going to be required to have a large group of people, like a guild, like Scott's saying, to actually clear and break through this continent just to access that 5-man dungeon at the end? Or are you going to be able to access it at all the time? Because that's something that's a little interesting, because that just might be a dungeon that's closed off. And that might be okay, because maybe you do need, all right, if you want to go to the dungeon that Zaitan Man might be in, if you want to take out that content, then it probably shouldn't be something you could just walk up to. And you might actually need a concerted effort. But that's just something to kind of note here. They make it sound like you're going to need to break through these maps to get to this dungeon. How accessible will it be long term?
Now Scott wants group content. Look at him.
I know somebody thinks that I don't like WoW. They think I was raiding 4 nights this past week.
You hate WoW.
In Firelands and Dragons.
You told me you hate WoW.
Sorry, I do. I do kind of like WoW, but this is a different game. It's okay to not like legendaries in WoW. Don't like legendaries in WoW. I think they're done badly. Not the only one. Doesn't mean I hate WoW. Not true. Played it 7 years.
He doesn't hate WoW. He doesn't hate WoW. Let me tell you guys really quickly about, yes, that's right, Netflix. Go over to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV to sign up for a free 30-day trial. This is for the streaming service. You guys can stream all kinds of good stuff to your Xbox, your PS3, your desktop, your iPhone, your iPad. Terminator, right there. Getting ready for Guild Wars, your hammer ability, Richie. You could watch Terminator. Yes. You could watch Terminator.
You could watch Doctor Who.
You could watch Doctor Who. It's next on my list. It's next on my list. It's next.
Next on your list that you'll eventually get to after Ancient Aliens.
I'm done. I think I'm done with Ancient Aliens.
Oh, thank God.
Oh. But it's such a good show. It's so good, man. It's aliens. So if you want to watch Ancient Aliens, wait, is Firefly on here? Because now I got a Firefly.
Yes, it is.
I have a
Serenity.
I have a Firefly hanker, and I need. Oh, it is.
It is.
Firefly and Serenity are both.
They're rebooting Firefly.
Maybe, potentially.
That's what we've heard.
No, they're
They
not.
said if the reunion film goes very
Scott.
well, there's a possibility, but even that was kind of uncertain.
Shut up,
So
Scott.
don't believe the lies.
Scott.
Don't believe the lies.
I was the one who talked about that on Twitter and lost my temper when I found out that it was all a load of rubbish.
I'm not listening to you.
Don't play with my emotions.
If you guys want to get ready for the Firefly reboot, that is absolutely 1,000% happening.
That is confirmed.
It is confirmed and absolutely happening, and
Coming out next spring.
I am making it happen with my consciousness. It's like the God particle, like I talked to you about, Scott. Go to your notes. You can go to Netflix and on the streaming service watch all of the episodes, all 14 episodes from Firefly. This is one of my favorite shows. I loved this show.
Brilliant.
And I hope they bring this back. But that news came out, and I instantly went, I gotta rewatch Firefly. I have to rewatch Firefly and Serenity. Can't wait. So go check it out. Go to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. Sign up for a free 30-day trial. You can watch all 14 episodes in 30 days. You could totally do that. And if you don't want to keep it after the 30 days, you can just cancel it and no questions asked. You don't have to keep it. But after that, it's only, I think it's $7.99 a month, $8 a month. It's an awesome, awesome service. I love it. Check it out. Netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. All right. So Colin Johansson wrote a bit of a dev journal on GuildWars2Hub.com. It's definitely worth a read. Go check it out. GuildWars2Hub.com. We pulled out a tiny little bit of a fraction of it to talk about. First up, Colin had this to say. He said, I've seen feedback where people were truly upset an event could happen more than once in the world, though we've been saying all along that they do continue to occur in the world. I think it's easy to try and picture this world filled with events that just happen for you and never happen again. Heck, I would love to play a game like that, but the amount of work and manpower it takes is simply not in the scope of what is possible for us in Guild Wars 2. If I'm not mistaken, Richie, wasn't it you who wanted to be that special little snowflake and have hundreds of events built just for you?
Yeah, that was me. I was trying to do it under the name Grief again, but they found me out somehow.
Wonder how that happened. No, seriously. I think the one thing. What do you guys think this is more about? Like, so I think most of us, all these events are going to happen. One thing that we did see in some of the beta events, though, was that they seem to be happening on a very short timer, so to speak. Like they were happening fairly quickly. I think they didn't they speak out about that and say that some of those timers might be relaxed though when the game actually launched. And they were just trying to see how they went in beta.
Yeah, they specifically sped up the refresh rate on those to test them. They said that they would be changed. Like, was it 8 minutes would be the shortest period between? I think they said, and there was some that were just doing a few minutes just to really test them out in the beta weekend. So yeah, they're not going to be as regular, and you know, yeah. It won't be quite as bad.
Do you guys think that? I mean, obviously he had to speak out about this. I'm surprised that many people really thought that they wouldn't see these events kind of happen again.
Yeah.
Or, well,
I did.
Well, I do have to say, like when we saw them on a sped up, like I'm kind of leaving it to see what it's like at launch, because when they were sped up, It was a little odd, like doing the event, going out about doing something, and then you end up back at that fort or that little area or something, and it just be happening all over again. You're like, oh man, I just did this. Like, I don't really want to do this again. I want to be on my way and do that. I did this 5 minutes ago. You think?
Yeah, I wrote an article a couple months ago before I think the betas were open, and people were like legitimately upset at the thought of dynamic events repeating. Like, they were like, I feel lied to. How is it dynamic if it's going to happen again? So a lot of people just didn't really understand the way things were going and the way it has to be. I mean, if you only had events play off once, the content of the game as it is now would be done in the first month. Like, the first time people went through an area, done. Like, done. So it's just not feasible.
Do you think that most of the people who were disappointed are probably the ones who mistook Renowned Hearts for dynamic events, Liz?
There was that too. ArenaNet wasn't really great about talking about Renowned Hearts before people got their hands on the game. So you had people who were expecting content to just be dynamic events. They go out, they see this Renowned Heart, and they're like, this isn't dynamic, this is what? And so that fed a lot of like, oh, the DE system is rubbish arguments, that because people weren't really well informed on what it is. So I think that complaint has gone away a lot. Because people are becoming more aware of it, and it's something that people know of. Whereas at first, if you're talking about, oh, the Renowned Heart, blah, 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 and people are like, Renowned Heart? What's that? Do you mean dynamic event? So.
I think we're going to, once the game launches, we're really going to see these dynamic events just go crazy. I mean, every time they talk about the live team that's going to be watching the zones, changing how often that these dynamic events spawn, and actually shifting new ones in and taking some out. I mean, you're going to see these zones come to life, and they're going to be different as you go through them, and they're going to have a very large team supporting it and doing this. And it's really, I really believe that, a couple weeks into launch, when we start seeing these things shift and change, it's really going to floor people. That it's going to feel more dynamic than it does in these beta weekends, for sure.
That had already happened in the last beta weekend. I was running through and I was finding, like stuff was happening that I hadn't seen before. Even in the very early levels, there was stuff happening that I hadn't seen before.
Sorry, keep going.
So the fact that we're going to have that going on, and that's going to be like, they're going to have a large, as Rich said, a large live team. Their focus is freshening up areas with these dynamic events. And, we're going to have a longer period of play other than just a few days for people to really wrap their heads around it. I mean, how many people did you see running straight up to that NPC with a heart over the head because they're like, oh, this is like having an exclamation mark over it then, and it's just not. So people are going to get a real feel because they're going to have a more relaxed time with it. They're not just trying to run around and find stuff because they've just got a few days and see everything. It's a game that asks you to sort of, it's a decompressed game. It's a game in which there's lots going on, and you don't have to scramble for everything, finish it, and then run away. And that's why a lot of people are seeing the
Scott,
same things over
I have to be max level within 48 hours.
The weird thing is, though, I've always been like, I want to take my time going through the game. I want to see everything. I want to see ore now. I want to see ore.
Oh, look at you! So you're going right for that. You're like, I need the max level ore.
My Silvari Guardian might be going to 80 a bit quicker than I expected, to be honest. And then I might be seeing the rest of the world with some of the other tunes.
I'll probably see Ord about 2016. Aliens will definitely have come down, taken over everything. I'll still be here with a beard and plugging Netflix, and then I'll finally get to see Ord.
Something about the timing of dynamic events. A lot of people, they'll play for an hour in an area and they're like, I've seen everything there is to see, but they don't remember that things trigger differently. I think it was a Gamescom interview a year or more ago. Martin Kerstein was talking about how the team was going through and they played, and it was night out in the Char territory, and they also this event they'd never seen before, and they're like, hey, did you guys just put this thing with the ghosts in there? And the events team that put it in was like, no, that's been there for like a month. They're just ghosts and they only come out at night. So people, because they weren't playing through an area a lot, they missed some of it. So it is more diverse than you necessarily see as the time you're running through. Like, you might see some events repeating really quickly, but other ones you might not see legit for a month just because you're not there at the right time. So that's also cool.
Do you think we might see aliens?
Asura are aliens. I'm convinced.
Humans are aliens.
You heard it here first.
Humans are aliens on Tyria, aren't they? Humans aren't indigenous to Tyria. They came from elsewhere. So, in the lore, I thought.
My little magic fingers.
She just did jazz hands.
I thought, I don't know. I mean,
All right, next up, Colin had this to say. He said, "This isn't." She also said rubbish. How do you feel about that? She said rubbish.
She said rubbish. I know.
I know.
I did say rubbish.
Good usage.
Good usage.
Why, thank you.
Yeah. +2 to Intel. All right. Next up, Colin said, this is an overriding theme of Guild Wars 2. Stick around, smell the flowers, and enjoy the ride. There are tiny little details around every corner of the game. Don't run to the next thing on your checklist after an event. Hang out and see what happens. If you save an NPC, follow them and see where they go. You can find all sorts of fun surprises. Most of the events truly do have some sort of outcome or effect on the world. So I had no idea about this. I didn't even think of this. Who's the noob? How am I going to run? Who's the noob here? Scott's got to rush to max level. You can't hang around and wait for these events.
I'm not gonna just skip everything, but yeah, people kind of just, again, it's that exclamation mark, question mark mentality.
Who's sticking
around?
around?
My own heart. I'm done. See you later. And that's not how it works. There'll be NPCs will run by you. A lot of them in the cities, you just used to people going about their day. If you're out in the world and an NPC runs by you, follow it and see what happens.
That's rubbish.
Because often it's doing something. Well, not rubbish. No, it's very good actually.
Any of you guys have any of you guys come across this in any of the beta weekends event? I didn't like follow anybody or anything like that. We've talked about, I've had little conversations here and there and heard things, but did anybody kind of finish an event and, you know, kind of follow anyone off to see where it led them? Jazz hands? You?
Yes. So, we were doing this event. Talk to me, pick me, pick me. We were doing this event, and we were escorting this Char lady through some Harpy territory, and then we finished, and some people were like, oh, cool, well, I'm going to go. There's something back that way. I'm going to go there. And I was like, you know, hang around. And she sets up a tent, and she kind of putters around the tent, and then she's like, hey, now that I've got my tent set up, I think I need to push back at the Harpies. Like, do you want to go help me take them out? And I was like, sure, I want to help you take them out. So then you help her take them out, and then you're going into a nest. So yeah, they do chain, yes, and it's cool. And sometimes, like, it isn't like an instant, like, you finish the one dynamic event and a new one pops up. Like, it takes time for conversations or whatever, but they're there.
That's pretty awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a quest where I was, or not quest, I was doing an event where I had to gather fur, right, little patches of fur, and give them to this lady and turned them in, and was all done, and about to walk away, and I see her going, great, I'm going to use this, this confirms that there's a Yeti nearby, and I'm going to go track him down. So I followed her, and she's like running all over the place, getting into trouble. You know, you think you're going to come upon a Yeti and stuff like that, and it turns out there was no real Yeti. But it was funny just watching her, like, to hit all these different places, and like she actually just ran off like a mad woman screaming about a Yeti. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go follow her. So
that's a little anticlimactic, though. There was no Yeti.
Yeah, I forget exactly what she discovered, but it was not in fact a Yeti. It was something else, and I remember it was a little disappointing.
It's a little disappointing.
Richie spent 20 minutes running around chasing a mental woman.
He's stalking a mental woman who's delirious.
This is a rabbit.
That's right.
Why did you chase a rabbit? I don't.
I wish I
think
remember
that is
exactly.
the jackalope one.
It is
Yeah, jackalope. Or some sort of giant. Yeah, it's
That's
jackalope.
right. Okay, that's what it was.
Fun of you. You've been chasing around. You've been trying to find Bigfoot for 20 minutes.
Well, here I am describing how awesome this feature is, and it sucked.
Well,
because I didn't find the Yeti.
It led to something. It brought you into the world
That's
and
right.
into a story.
You know what would make this? You know what would make this all better? Elizabeth, jazz hands. Thanks. All right. So we do have ads. Netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. But if you already have a Netflix account, and if you like this episode of Guild Wars, we are now Guild Wars the episode.
We are the dev team.
His Yeti story just threw me for a total loop.
You're gonna do that quest when you get in game. You're gonna be like, "This is it.
This is the lie quest. This is the lies."
If there's a Yeti at the end of this, I'm going to be ever so disappointed.
So sad.
The Yeti is a lie.
Oh, I smell a meme coming. The Yeti is alive. If you like this episode of GuildCast or any of the other shows we do here on Gamebreaker TV, we do accept donations, and it is a large portion of what keeps us running. If you go over to Gamebreaker.tv, there's a donate button. You can click it and send us $1, $5, $10, whatever you can spare. If not, that's totally cool. We will always keep our shows for free, but if you can, and if for all of you guys who have sent us a donation, thank you so much for sending us a donation. We truly appreciate it. All right, let's do some viewer questions. First up, we have a video question. If you guys have a video question you want to send us, post it up on YouTube. Keep it about 30-40 seconds. Send us the link to submit at Gamebreaker.tv. That's submit at Gamebreaker.tv. This one is a video question. We have a video question, and I'm a little frightened by it. I haven't even started it yet, but
Oh, Lord.
I'm a little scared to hit play.
What happens if you smoke a Silvari?
You
have a really upset Silvari.
you get the munchies.
You enter a strange dream state in which you're connected with an entire species, and you learn about the world from an alternate reality. And then when you come out of it, you retain all of that memory, and it helps you to actually function within that world. So, yes, there you go.
Jazz hands. Perfect.
It was an impressive smoke ring, though.
It was.
That's all right.
All right, this question up from David Cross. David asks us, we know about Orb, we know about Zaitan. Now we're getting to see the last two races in Beta Weekend 3. What surprises do you think they're keeping in reserve? Just different dynamic events? Or is there something big they're going to spring on us? I assume David wants to know if they're going to spring something big in the Beta Weekend event, not for launch. I don't know. Do you think there's anything really... They need to spring anything else? I mean, the addition of the two races, I think, it's a crap ton right there. What else do they need to do? Maybe a clown could come to your house and do some, like, balloon animals or something, and maybe they'll deliver a pizza, and I don't know, maybe a brand new Porsche. I don't know. What else do you think ArenaNet could do here?
Seriously.
Well, first off, I loved him in Arrested Development, and
Yeah.
also, no, I think he's actually saying that because we gained the last two races in the next BWE, is there anything they're holding back for launch?
Yeah, it's not like there are 17 explorable zones that we haven't even seen yet.
Jazz hands Elizabeth is sarcasm.
We've barely seen this game yet, barely seen it. Which for a game at launch where there's been an pretty extensive beta, that's weird, to be honest. It's rare. Usually, most guilds have been through all of the content and they're ready to go, launching in to go and do whatever achievement they want to do within the first 24 hours of the game coming out. We've barely even seen anything, really. So there's tons of stuff for us to discover come launch.
Tons and tons of stuff. Is there anything though? Is there anything though that, like, I don't know, in all the episodes that we've done and talked about, is there anything that we just haven't talked about in a while that, like, we actually know is coming but we have not seen it all? That's like a really big deal. This is why you don't
think of.
This is why you don't put anybody on the spot. Just awkward silence.
Right. Is there anything we've talked about in the past that we might want to talk about again that we don't know if we remember if we said?
No, wait. Hang on.
No, I said that.
I mean, I just think there's going to be tons and tons and tons of stuff. I don't think there's going to be like I don't think after Beta Weekend 3 they're going to come out with like, oh, and this. Like, it's
Yeah, by the way, there's a third heavy profession.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we not tell you?
Yeah.
No, I think we're kind of at the point where now it's just going to be like the world to explore, the content, the dynamic events, like all this stuff, and just getting into the world. I think that's enough at this point. I don't think they need to have another huge like reveal of like some big boss or baddie or like I don't know. I'm definitely not. I don't think it needs it.
What sells this game is the world. the levels that there are within every facet of the world is what sells this game. If you don't buy the world, the game's not for you. So basically what you got is an entire world to go and get lost in, and as you said, Gary, oh, I can see something off in the distance, I can go after that. That's what's in there, and there are so many different levels of things within that experience. That's what is out there to discover. It's a game about discovery more than probably anything else. It's about discovering stuff. That's why you've got your vistas and you've got your waypoints and all your stuff. So that's what's left to discover is the world.
Yeah. I don't put it past them. I don't put it past them to actually come out with something else. I don't know if it's going to be huge and like, oh my god, shocking. But just think about within the past like week or so, we've learned details on legendary weapons, the whole maps of ore, vistas. All these things are just being put into the game kind of like last minute. We're like, where did that come from? So there might be more things like that, but I can't think of anything huge that would just be absolutely jaw dropping. But we'll see.
Jaren wants guild airships, and I kind of agree that would be damn kick ass if they.
That's a drop the mic, walk off the stage for ArenaNet moment, isn't it?
Seriously.
Oh, coming out next week, by the way. Guild airships. Boom. Sorted.
That's how they do it.
That would work.
All right, next up from Kyle Petreo. Kyle's asked, says, with all the new things being added in the BWE coming up, what is the thing you guys are most looking forward to testing? Liz, I'll start with you.
Sylvari. I can't wait to try the Sylvari. I'm really excited to try the Sylvari. I really want to play the Sylvari. I'm really looking forward to Sylvari.
Sylvari.
Richie.
What am I looking forward most to testing? I would like to test the Sylvari, but I'm going to refrain. I'm going to play the Asura a bunch. I haven't done a lot. I haven't done any dungeons, but that's out off the table because they're resetting everybody, and I'm not going to be high enough level for that. So I'd like to get some structured PvP, and I've only played maybe 8 matches or so. So I'd like to do more of that. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to.
Mr. Hawks?
I'm
going to roll a Guardian.
I've heard No, I'm not, because I'm pretty sure now my main's going to be a Sylvari Guardian. So I'm going to do an Elementally Sylvari, because I too cannot wait to play the Sylvari. I really, really can't wait to get them. They look fantastic. And have you seen the Guardian Sylvari armor? My god, he looks good.
My god.
Oh yes. Rather.
I'm gonna spend the weekend trying to smoke a Sylvari. That's it.
Just throwing yourself on every fire possible.
That's all I'm gonna do. Richie Procopio, follow him on Twitter at Richie Procopio. Go over to his YouTube channel. It's Bog Otter, and check out Gamebreaker TV because he's got another article coming out. All on what was the title again? I forgot the title.
I forgot the title, but it's about incentive in MMOs.
Writer forgets the title. Must have been a good one.
It's a very good one.
You know what? After that, we should probably change the title. We'll change the title. It's about jazz hands. Speaking of jazz hands, Elizabeth Clare. Follow her on the Twitter at Elizabeth Clare, and of course, go over to massively.com each and every week and read all her stuff during the week about Guild Wars 2 as well, and jazz hands.
Always jazz hands.
Always jazz hands. Scott Hawks, he's back. More Guardian than ever, throwing kegs around this weekend.
Yes,
Scott,
and read No Gear Why Play by Richie Procopio tomorrow on Gamebreaker. Gamebreaker?
Gearbreaker. Guildbreaker.
Gearbreaker.
Make sure to ask at Jaramore why he hates the community and will not be doing a guild this beta weekend event. It's because Scott hates the community.
You've been trolled.
Why you hate the community. Follow me on Twitter at Gary Gannon and follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. Don't forget to come on over. We are giving away one Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition to one lucky winner. All you gotta do is come over to gamebreaker.tv/giveaway. I almost said something else. And enter the code. Make sure you come back each and every day to the page and increase your chances, buff your luck to win. You can do stuff every single day to increase your chances on winning that. So good luck to you all. And don't forget, we are moving to today's GuildCast will be next Wednesday. And also BuildCast will be next Wednesday as well. So see you all next week. Have a great week and have fun this weekend in the old Secret World.